Hi everyone, Ivan here from Radio Express. Our tour continues, and today I'm so happy to say that we are in the lovely city of Vienna in Austria, and I'm here with Flo, who is the general manager of NOSTALGIE.
Channel manager, not general manager. That's another job.
Yes, channel manager of NOSTALGIE Österreich. So really good to be here, and thank you for having us.
Welcome to Austria. Nice to meet you.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's a gorgeous day as well. So you're just about to launch the station.
Yeah.
How is it going?
I think now it's very relaxed, but before and afterwards it's very stressful, of course. On the 21st of June, we're launching NOSTALGIE in Austria. For us, it's a very big project. It's a very big radio station. It's Austrian-wide. It's on digital radio. Our claim is only the greatest songs, nur die größten Songs in German. Yeah, and we are playing a lot of fun music, fun stuff of the 80s, a little bit 70s, a little bit 90s, feel-good program. Yeah, a good morning show, a big morning show. And of course, Kim Wilde.
We'll talk about Kim Wilde. Yes.
Talk about later.
Tell me now with the launch of NOSTALGIE in Austria. Tell me about the how are you feeling about the general radio landscape in Austria? Because Europe is, as they say, united but also very diverse, and compared to all the neighboring markets over in Germany, in Hungary, and South, how are things going given all the challenges off the back of the pandemic, off the back of all changes in the economy? How are things going?
The Austrian market is a very interesting radio market, and it was also is also a very difficult radio market because can you believe the private radio in Austria started in 1998? So it was very, very late, really late. And before that, there was only public radio in Austria. And of course, they know that private radio is starting in 1998, and they prepared for the start and made the public radio very private in the sounding. So for the private radio stations, it was in the beginning very difficult to get into the market because the public radio was very strong and very big. But now it's 50-50. So you can say 50% private, 50% public radio in Austria, and it's going well, really. And now we are starting our second digital multiplex,
Very good.
DAB Plus.
Yes.
The first one launched a few years ago. There's also our sister radio Energy on it, also Austrian-wide. And now the second one is launching on the 21st of June with NOSTALGIE and some other radio stations.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's for the Austrian market, it's a very big thing because digital radio is starting to work. The people recognize that there is more for them. There are more programs for them. And of course, in the car, the people are listening to digital radio. Sometimes they don't know that they're listening to digital radio, but they love it because they have more variety, more programs. And for us is also a big thing because we can also do our programs Austrian-wide.
Yes.
And when you have listeners in Tyrol, for example, or in Salzburg, it's very fine for us. Of course,
it's easy to reach them.
Yeah.
And so in your opinion, here in Austria, DAB will, and it's becoming an established platform. So it will not end up like, because speaking with colleagues in other European countries, some colleagues are saying, well, DAB is ending up being the mini disc of the distribution, where the mini disc it came about in the early mid-90s, just after the CD was starting to sort of become old news, and just before the MP3 came about. And all of a sudden, it didn't materialize. It didn't make an impact. And it's interesting how some colleagues in other European countries are saying, well, actually we might skip the DAB phase, but it's good to see that, you know, Austria is embracing DAB, like Norway, for example, or the UK, where in both countries DAB is very much established, and you have the programming there and the multiple channels and brand extensions.
I think the thing is, also in Austria, the DAB, the digital radio, also started very late. If you, for example, think of UK and Germany, they were a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And so I think we are now in the 4th year or in the 3rd year, something like that, on digital radio, with digital radio in Austria. And the big thing on digital radio, I think, this is my personal opinion, is that the people don't think about, okay, now this is digital radio and this is normal radio.
Yes.
No, they just want to listen to their favorite station.
Yes.
And if it's on digital radio or on the internet or in the app or on a smart speaker, it doesn't matter anymore.
True.
And of course, it's very important for us, for Nostalgie and also for Energy, to be with our product on every platform, everywhere.
Yes.
To be with our listeners.
Yes.
And wherever and whenever they want to listen to us, they can do it.
Yeah. And actually, you predicted my next question.
Okay.
So as you said, and I agree with you 100%. People, they don't realize, especially the younger generations, those who discover radio, as you say, for them that's just a channel. That's just audio coming from speakers. It doesn't matter, you know, whether it's on FM or DAB or you know, streamed online. Now, how do you see and how do you compete, or do you compete in the first place with the likes of Apple, of Deezer, of Spotify? What's the Austrian situation when it comes to these platforms that are two-way, that are interactive? Are you seeing any movement away from radio in favor of those, or are they complementing each other?
I think they are complementing each other because, of course, every platform who plays music is a competitor for us and for radio in general. Of course. But I think the big thing on radio, and that's what I love on radio for radio and the listeners also love on radio, it's the entertainment factor. You're not alone when you're listening to radio. There are people doing for you radio. They're choosing the right songs. They're telling you how the weather is, what's going on in the world. They're making hopefully some fun with you. There are good competitions, good shows, good promotions. So it's entertainment. That's the big point on radio. And to be honest, I also use Spotify and Apple Music. Of course, everybody does. But for me, it's like, okay, I'm listening to a CD now.
Yes.
And put in the CD. And okay, now I'm not listening to CD anymore. I'm listening to Spotify. Yeah. So if I have a special moment or I just want to listen to a specific album, I turn on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever. But if I'm in my daily rush, in the morning, when I'm out of work, I don't want to think about, okay, which kind of music do I want to listen now? How is my mood at the moment? You know, I just want to turn on the radio.
Yeah.
And there is someone who tells me everything is fine.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening.
Yeah.
Don't forget, rain is coming in 2 hours. And this is the newest shit from Justin Timberlake or something like that.
Yes.
And that's the magic of radio. That's the power of radio. And I think, of course, Apple Music and Spotify, they are competitors, but not so much in the entertainment and the human, with the human factor, you know? So I love radio.
we love radio too.
I think so.
Yes. And what do we do with AI? What do you think?
Yeah, AI.
What do we do with that?
Yeah, I think artificial intelligence came to stay. Yeah, and I think it's very interesting, and also I think there are a lot of possibilities what we can do with artificial intelligence. It starts, for example, show preparation, to get informations out of the internet for your shows. Also music, how to program your music, for your radio station, and of course also for hosting shows.
What do you think of that?
I'm not, for example, I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah. So if you have artificial intelligence who is doing for 100% the job of a host, yeah, the human factor is missing. Yeah, and I think this is one of the most important things on radio, the human factor. And it's very interesting that some radio stations in Germany, for example,
Germany, absolutely in Germany, yes, it's 100% AI.
They do AI experience, but
yes.
Yeah, it's nice, but yeah.
This was one of the main topics at Radio Days back in March. Basically, AI and we all of us, we obviously being in Germany and we listened to Absolute AI, and it's quite the experience knowing that this is 100% AI driven. So the music scheduling and playout itself and the voice was entirely generated by AI. Astonishing. Very, very interesting.
It's interesting, yeah, but I don't think that this will be the future of radio. I can't believe. I love live radio. I love standing behind the microphone. Maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned on that. I don't know, but that's the magic of radio, to be live and
the emotion
being
of it,
in the studio, and the human factor. I think really the human factor is getting more and more important in this world, and
That's
also
true.
for the radio. If I know that there is a real person doing something for me, is entertaining me, that's perfect, and that's radio. And I think that's also the future of radio.
Yes. I think that there's probably something for the regulators as well, and we discussed this with our colleagues in Denmark a few days ago, that maybe it would be a solution to require that it's mentioned that the program you're listening to is generated by artificial intelligence, so people know, because probably over time it will get very smart and it will probably sound very realistic. It already does, but it will. I also think that
it feels very strange.
It does.
A few weeks ago, ChatGPT introduced the voice component, and you can talk with ChatGPT, and also in German, it sounds like a real human. And you're sitting on your desk and talking with ChatGPT, and she is searching for you some things in the internet, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. That's not true. But
true.
It's true.
Yeah.
So let's see. But in general, I can say artificial intelligence, of course, will be a big factor also on radio. But maybe in the background, how you make radio, how you program the music, and for show prep and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not the voice and the humans
and
on the radio are
the
artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see.
Let's talk Kim Wilde.
Yes.
Let's talk Kim
I'm
Wilde.
a big Kim fan.
So what are your expectations now? Kim is launching with NOSTALGIE here in Austria. So what are, as a programmer and as a radio lover, what are your expectations?
I expect every week a very good show of Kim Wilde, a lot of big 80s, some good stories out of her life, which is, I think, a very exciting one. She was touring and is touring. I've seen her a few weeks ago here in Vienna. She was playing at a festival, and it was wow. It was fantastic. She has so much energy on stage, and so her voice and everything was like, wow, this is Kim Wilde. And I was standing in the crowd, and it was like, okay, she is hosting in a few weeks on NOSTALGIE her own show, and it's like, yes. I like no, it will be fantastic, and I've heard some general shows a few weeks ago, and I like the music she plays, and like the content she has, what she's talking, and how she talks with the listeners. She's very, very near, like a good friend.
Yeah, she's a natural presenter, isn't she?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
And what, generally speaking, also based on the market situation here in Austria, what is your opinion on having celebrities on the radio in general? You know, people who are in music or on television getting into radio, because this is becoming a thing in some markets. What is your opinion based on the market situation here in Austria?
I think it can be an advantage for you as a radio station, because if the celebrity is a big name and is doing a good job and doing a good show, it can be and will be an advantage. For example, Kim Wilde. Everybody knows Kim Wilde because she had a lot of songs and hits in the 80s. She's touring. She has a very big name. And if you can tell your listeners, hey, Kim Wilde is hosting her show on our radio station every week, you can listen to her. She's playing a lot of good music. It's big. It's really big. And of course, I don't know if every celebrity can do this kind of job, because being a radio host is something very special.
Yeah,
it could be sometimes difficult, but I think that Kim Wilde is just doing it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And
she's a presenter.
She is.
And
she
a superstar. And a singer.
And what is your view on a multilingual programming? Because obviously the language of Austria is the German language, and the show is also in other markets where English is not an official language. It's obviously taught in school, but you know, it's not the language that people use. How do you think this works in Austria, where many people do understand English or speak English, but what is your general view on multilingual programming? Because colleagues would ask, okay, so how does it work? You have an English person from the UK talking in English in a country where the language is German. So
I think it's very interesting and very modern, because NOSTALGIE is a modern radio station, a modern radio trademark. And for me personally, it's no problem to have English content on air. There are two things. First one, I think that what Kim Wilde is talking is very easy to understand, and the Austrian people, they are really good in English, so they can understand what the people are talking in English. So I think it won't be a problem. But if it would be a problem to understand, for me, it would be okay, because it's Kim Wilde and it sounds international and it sounds big when someone is in Austria, when someone is talking on the radio in English. And so for me, it's no problem for the program. It's a good international content. Yeah.
And this is where the show will help Nostalgie, for example, with what we call Denglish, where
Denglish.
Yeah,
Denglish.
I mean, what would actually? Yeah, please correct me. What would be the correct pronunciation of a word like mixing Deutsch with English? So it will be
Denglish. Yeah.
So yes, Kim would say
she speaks a little bit German.
Yes, she does. Yes, and she has a very good ear for languages.
Oh, okay.
So she would. Nostalgie will have the slogan in very, very, very proper German.
Yeah, but normally the Ö, this is Ö, is for English-speaking people very difficult. So nur die größten Songs. Normally the English people would say nur die größten Songs. So it's the Ö is very, very difficult for most.
She will nail the Ö. I promise you, she will nail the Ö. Yes, that's how it's done.
Let's see.
Yes.
Let's hear what she's doing with the
Ö. And I have these last questions for you. First, what is the thing that frightens you the most when thinking of the future of our jobs, of our industry? What is the thing that frightens you the most?
To be honest, I'm not frightened. I think radio will also be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. If we all the radio guys and girls say, okay, let's go with the future. So it won't be a solution to say, no, we're radio and we're doing radio since 30 years and we're doing radio like 30 years ago. That won't work. So before we talked about artificial intelligence, yes, it's coming, it's here, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So let's see how we can use artificial intelligence and all the new things to make it good for doing a good radio program. And as I said before, the big point on radio is entertainment and the human factor. And I think, and I really believe that also in 20 years, 30 years, the people love to have the human factor, to have a real person, real human. And so I'm not frightened. Maybe the radio changes a little bit. Also the way you listen to radio, maybe it's getting more personalized, whatever. But radio, listening to something, getting entertained from real humans, I think will last forever. So I'm not frightened.
What do we call ourselves in 10 years' time? Because now we're radio. Do we call ourselves, with the change of the distribution platform, what do we call ourselves? Do we call ourselves radio in 10 years? What do you think? Or audio or whatever?
Good question. Let's see what's going on in 10 years. To be honest, also the guys from TV, they're also TV makers in the year 2024. So let's see. I can't answer you these questions. So hopefully we're not artificial intelligence in 10 years. Some robots.
Or cyborgs, yes. And lastly, what is the technology or innovation that excites you the most? What's your thing? What's the thing that gets you really excited, that gets you wow right now?
I think the personalization of your product. I think it's also a very big thing. There are some radio stations in the German market who are doing plus stations. For example, they have a main program and you get plus 80s on a stream. So you get the main program with more 80s sound or more 90s sound or more Christmas songs or whatever. I think this one is very exciting because you can have your own radio station. And I'm also very excited. Artificial intelligence, what we will use it, and how it change our workflow. So let's see. But I'm relaxed.
Good.
Let's see.
Good. Flo, thank you so much for your time.
I say thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us, and good luck with the launch of NOSTALGIE in Austria.
Thank you very much.
All the best, and I will see you soon.